So, will Netflix, if the purchase gets approved, stay with the theatrical release for Warner Brothers? Well, yes and no. Yes and no. It's looking like Ted Sarandos has basically confirmed that they will minimise the window, the theatrical window. Kind of reading between the lines here, obviously. But they're confirming that they'll keep the theatrical releases, but it's kind of the devil's in the details. It's kind of where their criticism lies in terms of what you can imply that they will do moving forwards. Right, it's a prediction, of course. So let's take a look. I did a video, I don't know, 3-4 hours ago at the time of recording this one, that Netflix had bought Warner Brothers, and it's titled like the thumbnail says it's over. People are like, you're being negative. Well, Warner Brothers, as we know it, is over, right? Like, that's just a statement of fact. You know, what it comes into, whether it's good or bad, who knows? But Warner Brothers, as we know it, is undeniably over now. Right? This is a new era for Warner Brothers. So it's not negative to have a statement of fact on the thumbnail, but people will project, I guess. So Ted Sarandos has basically said, this is on Deadline, by the way, basically just says Netflix is committed to Warner Brothers theatrical releasing, as Cinema Trade Group calls merger unprecedented threat. And it is an unprecedented threat. And this is, again, one of those things that I was trying to imply. Like, I've made video after video where I said Hollywood will never be the same again. I think there's even titles to that effect. Because it will never be the same again. It won't. Now, whether that's just Netflix trying a minimal theatrical release window or not, and then other studios copying them because they see it's successful, who knows? But it won't be the same again after this. This is crazy. And the Cinema Trade Group is right when they say it's an unprecedented threat. It is an unprecedented threat to theatres. It is. Now, whether that threat is realised or not is a different story. You know, a threat doesn't have to manifest itself. There's the potential for harm. You know, it's the potential for a situation to go south. But anyway, so Ted Sarandos said this: we've released about 30 films into theatres this year, so it's not like we have this opposition to movies in theatres, said Ted Sarandos on a call with Wall Street, fresh off clinching a mega deal to acquire Warner Brothers. My pushback has been mostly in the fact of the long, exclusive windows, which we don't really think are that consumer friendly. Okay. So the devil's in the details. That's him hinting that, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to stay releasing movies for such a long period of time. But I also think, ultimately, they might change their tune. Warner Brothers and theatres in general, you know, they all tried to rival Netflix with their own streaming platform. And it's weird that Netflix hasn't learnt this, just from looking at the industry and what they've all done. But Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, all these companies launched their own streaming platforms, right? And in doing so, they cannibalized their second revenue source. They cannibalized their second revenue streams, but they also cannibalized their own box office streams, because these companies were and are pulling their movies quicker from the theatres. And when you do that, and consumers know, you know, Disney, you know, people that subscribe to Disney Plus are particularly guilty of this. But when consumers know that they can just go and watch their movie on Disney Plus or HBO Max or Amazon or Paramount Plus or whatever, in 30 days of it being released, well, who cares? Why would you rush to the theatre? Why would you bother? You know, like why would you do that? Inconvenience yourself. Have to go out of the house and, you know, be around absolute detritus in the theatre, screaming ignoramuses. You just wouldn't do it. You'd stay at home. Some people, not all, but some people would. I myself really like the theatre experience. Not the one I outlined, obviously. I go in the daytime, so I'm not around bloody morons. But anyway, point is, these companies began cannibalizing their own revenue streams. Because make no mistake, no matter the theatre take, right? A movie company will make more money on a movie at the theatre than they will if they just released it, in theatre, on streaming. They make way more money, and they make more money as time goes on. Now, there's been a few examples. Warner Brothers specifically have been guilty of this year. Not guilty, but they've won out this year because of movies that they just left in theatres. Right? There was that Ryan Coogler movie, Will the Vampires. Can't remember what it's called anymore. It was the Minecraft movie. 2 off the top of my head. But there were more. These movies did well because they were in theatres for a relatively long period of time. The Ryan Coogler one even came back to theatres. So, this is an odd thing for them to hint at. Oh, well, theatrical exclusive windows. It's like Ted, mate. Have you looked at the company you're buying and the industry that you're entering into to understand how these films have been making money? So bizarre. But that's the hint right there. That's the hint that they're going to destroy the theatrical market for Warner Brothers. And that's a shame. That's a shame. There's a little bit more here. It just says AMC and other chains are looking to re-establish a 30 or 45-day window to energise moviegoing that dwindled during COVID. The biggest chains often won't run Netflix films with truncated windows. Because why would you? Why would you lock it out for X, Y, and Z amount of screens for it to be there for like 2 weeks? You just be like, it's pointless. The entertainment community and movie theatres in particular have been immensely jittery at this corporate combination, given the streamers' short windows, if any, as they cater to their streaming audience. Exhibition's biggest trade group, Cinema United, came out with a blunt statement this morning opposing the merger, saying the proposed acquisition of Warner Brothers by Netflix poses an unprecedented threat to the global exhibition business, which is already really struggling as it is. The negative impact of this acquisition will impact theatres from the biggest circuits to one-screen independents in small towns in the United States and around the world. Can't really argue with that. Cinema United stands ready to support industry changes that lead to increased movie production and give consumers more opportunities to enjoy a day at the local theatre. But Netflix's stated business model does not support theatrical exhibition. In fact, it is the opposite. Regulators must look closely at the specifics of this proposed transaction and understand the negative impact it will have on consumers. Which it will. From that perspective, it will. Because they will make less movies and they will take less risks. It's just kind of a fact, really. And then you got comments like this or articles like this. David Zaslav basically just saying, "Calm down. It's the beginning of new possibilities." But basically, them just saying, "Chill, guys. We're not really doing much." So it just says, this decision reflects the realities of an industry undergoing generational change in how stories are financed, produced, distributed, and discovered, and recognises the strong, transformed company we are today. The significant value we have created and the resilience and attractiveness that now position us in a rapidly evolving marketplace. But what happened was, Dave, mate, just going to throw this out here, is that you... all studios, fucked the market to oblivion by releasing woke dog shit. So, you fucked it. Actually. Not the consumers, you did. So, it's interesting. And there's comments like, Netflix seems to think that this will get approved by the regulators and it's all fine and hunky-dory. But it remains to be seen. Who knows what's going to happen? We're in uncharted territories. But yeah, Netflix has basically said we're not doing theatrical releases like we were. So my last thumbnail was right. It is over. Warner Brothers as we know it is over. The theatrical market as we know it is going to change now. It's a very big event. This will change Hollywood forever.